So very shortly, the 34-strong Junior Max grid will be sent on their way for effectively 2 formation laps before we go into battle for the final time this weekend for these youngsters. So green flag waves at the front, and now they get underway. So without further ado, I'll run you through the starting order. On pole position, Mike van Voort from the Netherlands. James Wharton from Australia is alongside him on the front row. Then it is Kobe Pauls, Guilherme de Oliveira, Wilgot Edquist, Mads Ries, Robert de Haan, Colin Kerzani, Zuleman Zanfari, Herbert Andreas. That is your top 10. Row 6, it's Jan Pokos with Jamie Day alongside. Jerzy Spinkovits and Ralf Winkel, row 7. Dante Rapagne and Zen Rudenberg, row 8. Vincent Frans and Gianni Andrisani, row 9. Malte Adolfsen and Igor Hjorvard, row 10. Noel Degbol and Danny Van Dijk, row 11. Olli Pilka, Tuukka Taponen, row 12. Jules Castro and Matis Melanovskis, row 13. Samuli Matsami, Linus Henson, row 14. Arthur Jean and Philip Norman, row 15. And the last 2 rows are comprised of Georgi Zwain, Stig Riehult, Chris Hanen and Roderick Picker. But it looks like we have one notable absentee, and that name is Chris Hanen. So it looks like we're going to have 33 competitors, but Hanen is actually circulating, according to our timing screens. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for these youngsters to get in a 2x2 formation, get into line, get focused, get ready, and go into battle for the final time this weekend. Round 2 of the 2018 Rotax Max Euro Trophy Junior Max division is set to get underway, and the field is quite tidily bunched up, but I think that looks to be Chris Hanen at the back of the field, who is a latecomer to the party. Watch out for this young Dutchman, because I've got a feeling he will fly through the field. The entire field now is in formation. Now they go into the tram lines. Now race director is saying to them, slow down, and then he will give them the signal to go. Lights out, and we are off down into turn 1 for the first time of asking. Corby Powell's up into second as well. Looks like James Wharton's dropped down to 4th initially, but watch out for the young Aussie charger, as there is 2 wide trying to go into turn number 2. We've seen that a couple of times this weekend. It hasn't worked out for some people, and it's nearly 3 abreast coming out of turn number 3, a little bit further down into the lower echelon of the top 10. Meanwhile, at the front, it's Van Voort leading, Pauls in second. Wharton, I think, is now in 4th place, but I'll keep an eye on that. So this is going to be very, very interesting, because the top 2 already have stolen a march on the opposition, and it looks like battle is resumed between Mike van Voort from the Netherlands and Kobe Pauls, as James Wharton goes back up the inside of Wilgot Edquist into 3rd place. So nice move by the Aussie to get the position back, but Edquist is on the attack straight away, clatching onto the rear bumper of the Australian. So Mads Ries now up into 6th position. Chris Hanen has already made up a couple of positions, and Kobe Pauls has already come through and taken that lead from Mike van Voort from the Netherlands. So Van Voort has already got 1 win under his belt this weekend in finals, but now it is time to see what Kobe Pauls is going to do, and hopefully if he gets an opportunity, if Wharton catches up to this duo up front, who knows what might happen, but we still have a long, long way to go. So Pauls from Belgium leads from Van Voort from the Netherlands, and it's Wharton from Australia in 3rd place, and it's Edquist, de Oliveira. That's your top 5. Mads Ries, last time I checked, was in. Well, actually, he's taken over 5th position from de Oliveira. Rapagne has got past Zanfari for 8th position. But now I think we're seeing the shape of things to come in this season, because I know for a fact that Kobe Pauls was very, very disappointed, was actually in tears after the second final in Belgium. As we're seeing some more moves, and I'm thinking is De Oliveira is trying to get past one in front. So just keeping an eye on things here. Looks like De Oliveira is trying to get past the one in front of him, which is now Edqvist, because looks like Mads Riis has got up into fourth, and De Oliveira goes past Edqvist round the final corner. That seems to be a sweet overtaking spot for the Portuguese driver, going into the final corner, hooking it up, getting it up the inside, and all of a sudden he got past Edqvist, who is a local nevertheless, in terms of country allocation, let's say. So Edqvist now down into sixth position. But Kobe Pauls is not out of the woods quite yet, because hard on his back bumper, it's the 3:17 of Mike van Vugt for the Netherlands. But whilst these two are battling, look at what's happening behind. James Wharton from Australia is definitely asking for more than just a points finish, more than just third place. I think the Aussies got more than enough capability to get in front of the pair that are directly in front of him, and that gap has closed absolutely quite a lot, I think, as there is further changes for position. I think as Rapagna got in front. Well, Edqvist, it looks like Kerzani's just got up in front of Herbert Andreas. So the Dutchman gets into the top 10 as there's more battles down the order. 3-3-4 I just saw coming into my line of sights, which was Norman, who was on the back bumper of Jules Castro in the 311. And it's a little bit further down the order, round about sort of 26th, 27th position, with 15 point scoring places on offer. 6 minutes 50 on the clock. Now look how close these top three are. And this is going to be an electric battle right from the word go. Well, actually, right from the word now, to be honest, because we have 6 minutes, 39 seconds on the clock, plus an additional lap in this Junior Max final number 2 here in Kristianstad. So, Pauls leads, Van Vugt second, Wharton third. Gap between the trio just over 5.5 tenths of a second. Kerzani now up into 9th, so the Dutchman again has changed positions. Winkel is now up into 18th place, a little bit further down the order. Norman is ahead of Mertzami, as is Castro. So Castro ahead of Norman in the 3-3-4, who's currently running in 26th position. But look at how close Mike van Vugt is on the back bumper of Kobe Pauls right about now. The Belgian is coming under increased pressure, and it won't be just from the Netherlands, it will be from Australia as well, as James Wharton has shown incredible skills this weekend here in Kristianstad, and the Aussie is doing a great job, and he's really putting the feelers out on Van Vugt. I can see the way that the body language and the driving style is dictating what Wharton might do next. As they cross the start-finish line, the gap has decreased to just over 4.5 tenths of a second between the top three, as Kerzani goes past Rapagna for 8th place. So the Dutchman again is making moves up the field. Chris Haanen now up into 31st position, as Malinovskis, I think, did not take the start, or is actually right down at the bottom of the order. And here we go. It is definitely a battle royale on between the top three, as Van Vugt goes to take a wider line coming into turn 6 to go into turn 7 and carry that momentum through. Didn't quite work out for the Dutch driver, but that means that Wharton has only just closed up, and quite substantially, I might add. But whilst the trio are battling up ahead, you've got the likes of Mads Riis in 4th, De Oliveira in 5th, Edqvist, De Haan, Kerzani, Rapagna and Zanvari. That is, but we've got a penalty. We have got a penalty, and that is for the 3:12. Unfortunately, that is for Chris Haanen, who's way down the order in 30th position. But now we're seeing that Kobe Pauls is actually starting to stretch his legs, and it's extended the gap between himself and Mike van Vugt from the Netherlands to just over half a second. So Wharton still remains in 3rd. Mads Riis is closing too, as we got some good battling between 376 and 306. Or one of the, well, I'm just keeping an eye on that one. It looked to be the 306. So the 356 was Van Dijk, the 306 was Rudenberg. So that could be an interesting battle to watch too. Meanwhile, the battle at the front is going to be quickly coming towards a four-way scrap, because Mads Ries is definitely getting quicker and quicker as the race progresses. We still have 3 1/4 minutes plus an additional lap to go. But even with a second place finish right now, Mike van Voogd will have a total of 85 points to his name at the halfway point of the season. So the top 6 scores from each driver goes towards their points tally at the end of the year. But expect that Kobe Bowles will be one that will be factored in. So Bowles leads by over half a second from Van Voogd, who's got Wharton behind him, and Wharton has taken just under a tenth out of the Dutchman. So the Aussie is closing. And you've also got Mads Ries as well, who is in there. There is still time for this race to change dynamically at the front of the field. Kerzani now up into 7th, having got past Vilgot Edqvist in the 331. Jamie Day doing a credible job up in 9th position, ahead of Vincent France. So leaders come across the start-finish line, just under 2 minutes to go, plus the additional lap. And Pauwels is going to find that Mike van Voogd wants that win. So Van Voogd is definitely not settling for second best, because he's just done the fastest lap of this race at 53.859 on lap number 10. And he is, I think, in some respects, pulling Wharton and Mads Ries along with him, which has put a bit of a gap between Ries and De Oliveira, who's currently sitting in 5th, and has got Robert De Haan just behind. But then also Colin Kerzani from the Netherlands has been on the resurgence trail, so to speak. He started in 8th, he's now in 7th, having dropped to the bottom part of the top 10. 60 seconds plus an additional lap to go, so I would make it, by my estimation, around 3 laps of racing action to conclude the battling between the Junior Max ranks for another few weeks. So now it's quite interesting with coming out of turn number 3, that they have that little sort of hump, and you can see that some of the karts are actually sort of jumping up a little bit. The front wheels might sort of lift off slightly, but the rear axle is still firmly planted to the ground. So Pauwels is coming under pressure. We have 26 seconds plus an additional lap in this Junior Max final number 2 here in Kristianstad, and the gap looks to have closed. It was exactly 0.4 of a second between Pauwels and Van Voogd for the lead of the race. Wharton is sitting pretty well in 3rd. We've got a 2nd place finish in the first final today. So they crossed the start-finish line with around 6 seconds to go. So on the next tour around, it will be final lap being showed to all of the competitors. So top 15 is Pauwels from Van Voogd, Wharton from Ries, De Oliveira, De Haan, Kerzani, Edqvist, Day, France, Zanfari, Lapang, Pokos, Spinkevits and Van Dijk. So they're coming through turn 7, heading towards turn number 8. So they're coming through to the final couple of corners. So this time it will be final lap for the Junior Max division this weekend. It looks like someone's wanting to end it on a high. So Pauwels still leads from Van Voogd, Wharton, Ries, De Oliveira. That's your top 5 as they go through turn 3 for the final time. The rest of the field now coming through, as it looks like there's a bit of a battle going on between maybe Pilka and Castro. They're going into turn number 1. Castro gets ahead. Leaders now coming through. into turn 5 for the final time, and that gap looks to have closed between Pauwels and Van Vugt, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the Dutchman, who will continue to lead these standings as there's battles up and down the field as well, right down the back part of it. They go through the penultimate corner for the final time. And now it's through into the 90-degree right-hander that leads onto the back straight. Round the final corner comes Belgium's Kobe Pauwels to take the win, and he's so happy, well delighted with that. Van Vugt takes second, Wharton third, Mads Ries and Guilherme de Oliveira round out the top 5. Robert de Haan was 6th ahead of Colin Kersani. Vilgot Edqvist was 8th ahead of Jamie Day, who started in 12th. Finished 9th. Vincent France finished in 10th ahead of Zanvari, Van Dijk, Schminkovits, Rapagne and Degbol, who took the final points-paying position. Rounding out the order, it was Winkel, Rudenberg, Andreas, Adolfsen, Hensen, Belka, Bokos, Taponen, Castro, Norman, Hanen up to 26th at the end of the race, Mertzalmi, Hjorvard, Andrisani, Pika, Zuen, Rojon, Rielt, and 34th was Malinovskis. So there we go. That concludes the penalty for 3:12 was the front fairing. So there we go. We'll see the Junior Max Division back for round number 3 in Austria in just a month's time.